Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids, and in today's video, we're going to talk about the biggest problems facing Raid Shadow Legends here at the start of 2026. Well, near the start, near enough. This video is inspired by Ash's video, the 10 biggest problems in Raid right now. Well, inspired, basically just copying his idea because it's a great idea. I think a lot of the things I'm going to discuss in this, he has touched on some of them. Some of them will be the same, but there will also be plenty of things that he talked about in his video that I'm not even going to mention here. So obviously check out Ash's video. And yeah, I'll be mentioning some things that I don't think he mentioned either. So yeah, yeah, there we go. Is it a ripoff? The concept is a ripoff. The content is different. So, which is fine. It's fine. And yeah, there we there you go. Anyway, I'm not one for bullshitting you. So let's dive in. Let's talk about it. Right. First up, okay, I guess I should mention also, my perspective is obviously a very endgame perspective, and I'm obviously a content creator as well. So that will change things up. And yeah, there might easily be things that are huge problems that I might overlook. They don't affect me personally. So do let me know in the comments if there's any, particularly any really big things I'm going to miss. I'll also probably not mention too many really small things. I'm going to try look at some bigger picture stuff. I thought one of the cool examples of something people would love to see from Ash's video would be if there was an icon on your champion to be like, they're missing gear. How cool would that be? They've got a gear preset, but they're not wearing the gear preset. They've got, I don't know, he's missing gear. That'd be really nice just to... You're swapping gear around so much these days with free gear removal. It'd be really good to be able to tell at a quick glance who is actually not wearing a full set of gear. So I thought that, that's a small thing. I said I wouldn't mention it. I guess I've mentioned it as an example, but yeah, you get the gist. Right. Also, let's make it, when you're serving up the shit sandwich, you gotta have some good things at the side, right? So let's cover some good things as well, because there are genuinely some really good things Plarium has done. I think the first really good thing they've done in the last year is that Grim Forest, I think, is the best PvE content we've had in a long time. I think Grim Forest is accessible. It's something that a lot of players, even if you can't fully clear it, you'll be able to make a lot of progress through. You hit a wall, you can clear some other areas, get some power-ups, maybe have a shot at it. So I think that's really good. There's also lots and lots of rewards in here, including really good stuff like the Remnants, getting more, and only in hard mode to be fair, but getting access to more chances for mythical champions. That's really good. Getting more chances at relics. That's really, really good. So yeah, and again, there's brews, there's stuff for ascending your gear. There's great stuff in here. I think it's been, and I think the content as well. You've got a bunch of loads of new bosses in here, and they're all actually fairly decent. I think the Mimic is probably the worst one because it's just like, bring heal reduction and you win. It's a bit too simplistic, but it's not the worst thing in the world because it's too easy as opposed to being way too hard, which is probably better. Yeah, I think on the whole, I think Grim Forest is a really big win. So there we go. I think they've also done a very good job of buffs recently to older champions, particularly Void and Mythical champions. They've done a very solid job of taking formerly bad Mythicals and going, okay, you know what? Let's actually make them really good. And they've done a great job of that to make the Mythicals that you do get eventually. I think it's a good place to be for the game as well. Again, Ashnar got an amazing buff too, right? I think it's a great place to be where even if you pull a terrible Mythical, they're so consistent at buffing the Mythicals. Yeah, you might be waiting a few months, but it's pretty darn likely that that Mythical that you pulled that actually kind of sucks, you're going to get a buff. And that is excellent. Same with Void Legendaries. I think the Ogren Tribes is a great example where, they basically buffed almost all of these Void Legendaries, essentially. Almost all of them to make them way better. And I think that's really good. And particularly for Faction Wars, it means if you get a Void Legendary, they're buffing them pretty consistently, so they can certainly help you with that, because that content is obviously, unlike Grim Forest, it's not accessible. It's extremely difficult. And, I will also mention, they've been buffing some non-voids as well. Like Bambus, I think, is a great buff. Makes him a really nice Chimera champion. And that's really good. And that's something I love to see. Taking a champion that isn't really being used very much by players, if at all, and saying, okay, let's give him, make him exceptionally strong for Chimera. That's good, because that's a big piece of content in the game. And having answers to that, having good champions that are accessible, that aren't mythicals, whatever, is a really good step in the right direction. Also, final good thing to mention, that's been a pretty big focus, I think, of 2025, is pretty steady quality of life upgrades. They've constantly been doing it. Like, I don't know, quick battles from for Tag Team Arena is a recent one. That's great, right? Just constantly adding small things to improve quality of life. It's been pretty constant in the last year. They've clearly been putting a steady effort into it, and that's good. Oh, also, a steady stream of events. Like, there's constantly events in the game. Constantly. I think that's a really good thing. Now, we have a lot of these collab events, like the Assassin's Creed one at the moment. I'll mention this. This is something that I clearly see a lot of comments see as a negative. Too many crossover collabs. I think this one is a bit subjective. Like, for me, for example, I personally don't mind it. I actually, on the whole, I've certainly been skeptical of a few collabs. Like, when I saw Alien versus Predator, I was like, wait, there's going to be aliens and Raid Shadow Legends? That's a bit weird. And then, you know, when I see them in game, I'm like, okay, you know, Xenomorph, it's actually done really well. It actually fits into the Dark Elves pretty well. You know, I kind of came around to it and I was like, okay, it's a little silly, but you know what? It's actually quite cool. So for me, I actually really enjoyed the collabs, but you know, some people will see it as a negative. I don't see it as a negative. I've been seeing this as a positive. But either way, even if they took out some of the collabs and you did more raid lore themed events, I think constantly having these big events, that's been a pretty nice thing. Now, go into the negatives, which is the main focus of this video. So we're going to be more negative than positive. I did a video yesterday talking about the Basim deck of Fate and how I really wanted to do it, because even though I don't think I'll use him, he's a limited champion and all the rest. But I said if the cost was too high, I wouldn't be doing it. And like, guys, like, honestly, they've been doing this for ages now. Like, this just really bothers me. Like, why is this so shit? It's just, you know, like, clearly the default where they started was that Mortal Soulstones would be 100 points, Immortals would be 1,000, and Eternals would be 10,000. It's very simple maths, right? We work in a system of tens, right? Very simple. Because it's 1,000 points to flip a card. There's 40 cards, 40,000. Okay, if it's 1,000 points to flip a card, well, okay. If an Immortal is 1,000 points, grand. All right, I need 40 to flip 40 cards at 1,000 each. Or I'd need 400 Mortals at 100 to get 40,000 points and flip the cards. Oh, 5,000 per Eternal Soulstone. Okay, well, I need 8 of them to get the 40,000 points and flip everything. It's nice, it's simple, it's accessible, and it's also, by the way, not very cheap. How do you get 8 Eternals? How do you get 40 Immortals? Is that 400 Mortals? Is that easy? Is that cheap? No, it's not. So, if the default prices that they started with were already pretty expensive, why do we make them worse? I think the worst we saw was Freya's deck of Fate. That was a while ago. I think it was 6,600, 3,000. And it's just like, just why? Why? Is there any harm in people having more Soulstones? Like, you get to pull more in a 2x Soulstone event then. It's just fun. I don't... so yeah, like, I'm in a situation, by the way, now at the Basim deck of Fate where I'm going... I think it's 58 Immortal Soulstones to get all of this. And I'm like, I have 58 Immortals, but do I actually want to spend that many Immortals? It doesn't cost me any money. I've got them. They're there, right? I can just do it. But do I want to? Like, I've got it. I can do it with Immortals alone. I don't need to dip into my Eternal stock or whatever. Do I want to? Like, it's so expensive. Why is it so expensive? Yeah, so that's negative number 1. And you can give me plenty, I'm sure you can give me lots of examples in the comments of other events that are too pricey and too inaccessible. I think the Deck of Fate, I think Freya, and that was that late 2023, perhaps? Let's see, when was Asgard Divide? I think it might have been 2023. No, sorry, excuse me, it's 2024, late 2024. So we've had a year and a little bit of this happening. And obviously they've never gone as bad as Freya, but they've been like, okay, we won't go 600 points for an Immortal, we'll go 700 though. And I'm like, can we not just give it 1,000? Like, why? But yeah, you can give me some other examples. I think this has been pretty consistently happening, not improving enough for over a year. So that's a bummer. Okay, low-hanging fruit here. This is something I've been talking about for a while, and I'm hopeful. So Raid are often working like 6 months in advance, seems to be the standard, and they're planning stuff out in advance. Accessory management, though, is such a disaster. It made sense to have like the faction limited accessories back when the game came out. When the game came out, there were 12 factions. Now there's 16. But more so than that, when the game came out, there was only there was just accessories. That was it. So managing 16 different factions worth of this wasn't so bad. On top of which, when the game first came out, Spider was really hard. It was really difficult to get accessories. You didn't have that many. But nowadays, not only do we have now 4 additional factions, but we also have the standard set. We've got Feral, we've got Pinpoint, Supersonic, Stone Skin, we've got Protection, Rebirth, Revenge, Reaction, Chronophage, Refresh, Blood Shield, Slayer, Merciless, Mercurial, Stone Cleaver. I think I'm missing some as well. I think there's another couple, I don't know, the one that, is this the one that, no, there's one that like removes debuffs and stuff. I just sell it because I can't be arsed. But, you know, like there's so many accessories. So now I've got that just from Demon Spawn. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I have 16 gear sets of accessories to manage across 16 factions, as opposed to 1 gear set across 12. So 12 gear sets versus, I don't even know what 16 times 16 is. I only did up to 12 times table in school. Okay, I don't know that. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's so much. Why? There's so many. I know they've really upped the accessory storage. Whenever they up the accessory storage, that only postpones the problem. It only postpones it. I think, again, something I've been suggesting, and I've seen a lot of people suggesting now as well, is one simple thing would be, instead of doing it as a faction restricted accessories, do it by alliance. So you know, instead of being Bannerlord, High Elf, Sacred Order, Barbarian, do it Tolarian League. That helps. That cuts it down by a factor of 4. You're now dealing with 1/4 the amount of gear sets. So it's a massive reduction in the amount of work that you have to do. That'd be a nice step in the right direction. I mean, with 16 accessory sets to manage, like, it is almost as much as actual artifact sets you have to manage, to be honest. So is there even a point in having it be faction restricted at all versus just have them be free for anyone to use? That's a question. Obviously, they have artwork for the faction accessories, which is really cool, right? The actual faction accessories themselves all have unique artwork. Perhaps they could get rid of the basic faction restrictions for these accessories. Just make some generic just make accessories work for everybody and have a generic accessory, a standard accessory icon setup. And you could add in, you could have some limited faction specific accessories as well. I know. Instead, yeah, just make an actual gear set that's like, you know, a Knights Revenant accessories that are only for Knights Revenant, but have them be pretty rare and give you like a really big boost for more champions of your same faction. Sort of like, I don't know, you can make a Torch of Thraldom style accessory set, mostly geared for faction wars. That could be interesting, something to consider, but they really need to cut down having to manage 16 factions worth of 16 plus accessory sets. And we know that they're going to be reworking Deflection and Swift Parry to be 9-piece sets. So add on 2 more sets to manage. Now you're up to 18 accessory sets to manage. It's too much. So yeah, this is, I hope, obviously ridiculous. And it's been ridiculous for a while. So hopefully they're actually working on some solutions there. Yeah, another, I think, pretty low-hanging fruit. I think the cost to swap relics, like, if I want to take off this mythical relic, it costs me 640. Like, that's mad. And like, if I want to swap it with someone else, like if I want to swap the Torch of Thraldom over here, that's over 1,000. It's like 1,300 almost Starstone to swap these mythical relics between the two of them, which is just crazy. I also think swapping blessings, again, it costs, you know, you're realistically looking at 300 gems to swap blessings. This just doesn't need to be there. I think it's a hell of a lot more fun if you can just swap relics freely, if you can swap blessings freely. We've clearly seen... oh, you know what? And masteries. And masteries as well. We don't need to have costs to change this stuff. I think we've seen very clearly with gear sets. Certainly, in my experience, the game is way more fun when I can just swap gear freely. It's way more fun. I think it's going to be the exact same thing with relics and blessings and masteries. Let me customize my champions. Yeah, just let me customize them whenever I want to. It's half the fun of the game, is, you know, getting the perfect build for your champions. Let us actually do it without having these needless barriers in the way. So that's an obvious one. Now, a very broad and significant problem I have with this game, and Mercurial has really brought this to light for me. Got this new Mercurial gear set. a lack of accessibility to key strategies in the game. Now, the example I want to give here is countering Stone Skin. So Stone Skin's been in the game since Hydra came out, which is around when I became a content creator. I think it's, what, 4 years ago now? I think it's 4 or 5 years we've had Stone Skin in the game. We now have Mercurial. This is like the new Stone Skin, right? This is the new crazy OP defensive set that it is completely changing the arena meta. So surely, with Stone Skin being around for 4+ years at this point, surely we have ample access to plenty of ways to counter Stone Skin and to deal with it and to address it, right? We've got lots of ways. Well, not really. So, how can you counter Stone Skin? Ignore Stone Skin champions. You've got some champions who can do abilities that ignore Stone Skin. This has actually been done reasonably well. Something they've touched on with the champion buffs, for example, is giving other champions ways to ignore Stone Skin. I mean, like, let's say Ilil, for example. I use him a bit. He got buffed. He's better now. Ignore Stone Skin. That's cool. They've added more champions that can ignore Stone Skin, and that's good. So this one is not too bad. Like, for example, we just got, I know she's new, but we just got Vestel, an ignore Stone Skin nuker. Okay, cool. I can't remember if the Barbarian guy they added does it. No, he doesn't, but he can remove that stuff. But yeah, they've been fairly consistent adding that. I don't have a big problem there. Other ways to do it. HP burn. So Stone Skin buffs take more damage from HP burn, and you can explode it. There's very few champions that you can actually do this with. I mean, primarily, I would say you're looking at Sulfurion. He's a Void Legendary. If you don't have him, he's probably the primary one to do it. You could also do it with Gizmak. He's a mythical. Good luck getting him. You could do it with Ashnar, though he's a bit reliant on the Chrono Cube mythical relic. So good luck getting him. And having the mythical relic for it as well. There's very few accessible options that can actually do it. That can place burn, but also activate it to destroy Stone Skin. Very, very few. Sulfurion being the main one, and Gizmak. And if you don't have them, you're a bit out of luck. So yeah, HP burn is certainly counter Stone Skin. Also, reliant on Incinerate Blessing. If you don't have the Incinerate Blessing, this strategy might not even work. So you need a couple of very specific champions, but you also need a good blessing on them, the Incinerate Blessing, which is going to increase the damage that their burn does. You're going to need that as well. Probably at least 3-star, preferably 5-star. That's a problem. Bombs is I think this is probably the most commonly used one. But again, there's not that many bomb champions that are actually good. Nishak is the classic. He was a Christmas fusion, although it was a few years ago, but long-term players have Nishak and they're using him all the time. I think they reran him as a guaranteed champion as well. That's okay. Now, we did just get Cross. So again, that's nice. So it's been a while since Nishak. Bring out Cross. It's supposed to be sort of Nishak 2.0. Unfortunately, his turn meter boost here isn't good enough, so he doesn't quite work well. But his bigger problem is they dropped Mercurial like a couple of months after they brought out Cross. And Mercurial counters bombs. So that's a huge problem. And Cross is just not... Number one, he was a bit undertuned on arrival, but by the time they get around to hopefully buffing this move, Mercurial meta has already arrived, so he's just not that useful. We have like former fusion Gaius as well. He's just not good against Stone Skin because they're 2-turn bombs. Obviously, the big one is Commodus. Commodus is the big one, but again, he's a mythical. But yeah, so bombs, there's a couple of champions, but I'd say, Commodus is the big one, but he's a mythical. Nishak is the big one. He's fair enough. Gaius, not good enough. Lord Shazar, kind of not good enough. There's a few bomb champs that aren't really good enough. And then Kraz is possibly good enough, but came at a terrible time. The bombs is a bit mixed. Then we've got Stone Cleaver gear and the Cracking Roots Blessing. And I think this is perhaps the most shocking. So obviously they added in this entire blessing that increases the damage you do to Stone Skin. How many of you have built champions with Cracking Roots, huh? Probably almost nobody. This blessing basically only works at 6-star. So great. We're going to talk about that in a minute as well. But basically only works at 6-star. And yeah, it's really high investment, very rare. You can check out, I did a showcase of Hansel and Gretel with Fro the K. We had Fro the K on the channel. He invested heavily into Hansel and Gretel. One of the only players in the entire game who thought they are good. And he has them built fast, 6-star with cracking roots, and it works very well. But he had to invest in that as an endgame player over the course of about a year to get it and make it work. And it's going to work as well, very well against Mercurial with their ally attack and AoE A1s. That could work pretty darn well. But yeah, I mean, how many people are actually using cracking roots? Stone Cleaver set, another great example. There's an entire set which increases the damage you do to Stone Skin. But it at 6-piece, it's just shit. It's just underpowered. You need 9 pieces for it to do good damage, and it's rubbish, and you kind of want the Cracking Roots blessing with it as well, and it's just not good. And it's too hard to get the damn set anyway. The set is not only underpowered, but it's basically impossible to get any of it. In Live Arena, I basically max out the seasonal rewards every single month that it's up. I worked out that it's probably about it usually takes me roughly 200 to 300 battles every month. That's with a pretty high win rate, by the way. And yeah, I worked out that with that, each battle taking about 5 minutes, about 20 hours worth of gameplay to do this every month or so. That's a lot of gameplay. Do I have any good Stone Cleaver sets? Nope. Sure don't. You got to play more than that, which is just silly. I've got a few pieces, but not much. Nothing good. Nothing worth using. So yeah, there you go. I think and like when I look at this, we'd say, okay, there are 5 different ways to counter Stone Skin. 2 of them, barely anyone is using. The HP burn one is extremely inaccessible. We only have 2 of the 5. This has been around for 4 years. We now have Mercurial. This is not old news. It's been in the game forever. We now have the new hot set. By the time this new hot Mercurial set has come out, we should have ample. We should be drowning in it. This should be the reason. We go, oh, well, we've got a new defensive set to mix up the meta because, you know, the old defensive set has so many counters now that people are able to use. People aren't able to use this stuff. I'd say 2 to 3 of these you simply don't have any access to. So yeah, that is a pretty big problem. I've got similar concerns now with Mercurial gear. Will they give us good answers to Mercurial gear, or will we be sitting here in 4 years' time going, okay, now we've got, I don't know, Diabolical, the new set that's power creeping Mercurial. They gave us 5 ways to counter Mercurial, but realistically, we only have access to 1 or 2 of them. And most of the time, you're just screwed. Is that the situation we're going to be in? I don't know. I've got also similar concerns with content in the game. So I think, for example, Hydra. Again, it's been out as long as Stone Skin. How do you deal with, you know, the perfect veil? How do you get perfect veil for your team? Very, very few, almost no champions with perfect veil. I'm lucky enough that I got Bayek. Bayek, believe it or not, in terms of team perfect veil, I've got Tatura Rhymehide. I have Rector Drath. The 3rd champion I have ever pulled as an endgame player that does not play for free, but I spend money, by the way, is Bayek. That's the 3rd one for Team Perfect Veil. Been out for 4 years. That's less than 1 champion per year that can counter one of the Hydra heads. Clearly, they clearly want you to use champions like Xenomorph or Ninja or Aphidus, champions who can self-perfect veil, and they focus down the head. That's clearly the design goal. That's the intention. But I mean, like, let's be real. You're doing quick battles now, so it's just really awkward. I don't think they're even AI programmed that perfect veil champions will priority target down the head of Torment when they've got perfect veil. I don't think so. It's a bit of a mess. I've got similar concerns with Chimera. Like when they add Chimera quick battles, will we have like access to lots of good true fear champions so that we can deal with the ram form? Lots of unkillable champions so we can deal with the ram form? Or is it going to be, well, I mean, just get lucky and get Klazag, I guess? Or I don't know, you're kind of screwed. Like, will they actually do that? Or no? I also think Chimera Trials are another really good example. They did a good job when they nerfed the Chimera Trials. That's great. But realistically still, the Chimera Trials are still too difficult and still massively locked behind extremely endgame accounts and extremely difficult to get champions. We're talking champions like Fina, Galathier, Klazag. Yeah, it's ridiculously hard to do most of these. They have, like I said, they're occasionally buffing champions like Bambus to be good for Chimera Trials. But this either needs another nerf. We need area bonuses. Hopefully, again, they're working on something. Because I feel like when they add in Chimera auto battles, it's just going to be a bit of a shit show. I mean, sure, I can just run Titus and tell him not to attack the ram form. That's fine. I can do it. Grand. But it's just disengaging from the content instead of being able to engage in it in a fun way. I think it does tie in as well. Like a lot of people, I got some criticism for, like I was saying, I voted for Gore Crescent. I'm like, Gore Crescent, I think is really helpful for newer players. A lot of people saying, why don't you go for Essence Quencher instead? I mean, it's obviously really good and more general. Sure, it's good too. But I think a lot of that perspective is coming from super endgame players who are farming. They can farm 25 mythical materials for crafting relics from Ultra Nightmare per key. So they can do it twice per week. They're getting 50 mythical materials from Ultra Nightmare Chimera trials because they've got all the champs, right? They can do it almost every week. So obviously, yeah, you're getting loads of legendary, you're getting loads of Gore Crescents, but most players aren't. Most players are going to have massive use for, honestly, well, apart from, you're not going to have much use, to be fair, unless there is obviously the bug with, I think it's a bug with the collective. They haven't told us. We asked, they haven't said. I'm pretty sure. The collective basically doesn't remove buffs if you've got Total Guard from Mercurial. We don't know if that's a bug or not, but it's obviously stupidly strong. Apart from that, it's rubbish. These two are both going to be very good for 99% of players for 99% of the time they play the game. At the very least, they'll be really helpful for Faction Wars, Curse City, and Grim Forest, and all the rest. They're both very good relics. Doesn't make a huge... Anyway, that's going on a tangent. Doesn't really matter. Okay, I've got massive issues with blessings as well. So, you know, like, for example, they recently added more stuff in the Soul Merchant. Great, you can now buy more stuff, but you can't actually afford to get them. But yeah, I think there are several blessings, aside from, you know, the way to acquire them, many blessings in the game. A lot of them are just useless, and a lot of them require 6-star to be good. Cracking Roots basically requires 6-star. I'd say Neutralize and Harmonic Impulse are basically useless. Nature's Wrath is generally very good. Over here, Polymorph, most champions need 6-star for it to work. Incinerate, 6-star can actually make it bad against Marius, which is its own problem. But you kind of need 3 or 5 stars, not the worst. Crushing Rend kind of needs 6-star. Chainbreaker kind of needs 6-star. Soul Reap's quite... These ones are generally okay. Temporal Chains is good. Word of the Fallen kind of needs 6-star. Lethal Dose is actually pretty good at lower ones. So is Cruelty. Lightning Cage is always good. This one, there's a few that are always good, but there's quite a few when you think about it. Like, in terms of ones that need 6-star, I'm like, okay, Word of the Fallen basically only functions at 6-star. Polymorph and Crushing Rend basically only function at 6-star. Cracking Roots basically only function. Like, there's not that many blessings. That's a pretty big chunk already, just from those legendary ones and some epic ones that really need a 6-star blessing to even work. And that's not great because it's so difficult to get 6-stars. When I'm recommending blessings for champions, it's incredibly limited. There's lots of blessings, but realistically, it's like, okay, Lightning Cage for damage dealers for PvP, or you go Nature's Wrath, or if you're stuck, if you don't have any debuffs, Heaven Cast for PvE. If you're 6-star, sure, you go Crushing Rend, okay. Brimstone on some debuffers, otherwise you can slap them with a Cruelty or something, and I don't know, I guess that's most of it, really. You know, that's most of it. You go Intimidating Presence or Temporal Chains or Polymorph potentially are all you know, good general support options for PvP. But that's about it. Like, yeah, it's just for all the blessings in the game, your choices aren't actually that interesting, and so many are limited to 6-star, which you can't even get. On top of that, 5-star blessings now, certainly from an endgame perspective, feel like a tax that you have to pay for champions to be good. So let's say, for example, if I pick up this Basim, if I get Basim from this deck of Fate, because he's coming in at no stars whatsoever, he's basically useless, right? Basically useless compared to, you know, even if he's better than another damage dealer I had. I mean, I don't know. Let's say hypothetically, what would be a good example? I mean, Errol. Hey, Basim, he's better than Errol. But if I have a 5-star blessing for Errol already, and he's got the extra survivability stats, he's got the attack, the crit damage, he's got the I don't know if he needs accuracy, maybe. Don't remember with Errol. But he's got the accuracy, he's got the benefit of the blessing. Like, it just feels like a tax. Because I've got, you know, it's one thing that they did that was good. They're giving you access to 5-star souls for fusion and champions like Leonardo, you know, Hilvian guaranteed champion, they gave access to her soul. Yuki Masa or Mad Hatter fusions, they give you ways to get 5-star souls for these champions. That's great, but it does become just a tax for the champion to be good when you've got all these 5-star champions. Champions without any stars, without the souls, just start to feel shit. It doesn't feel like something that's good getting the blessing. It starts to feel like just a tax. And then on top of that, we also have a lack of essence to actually purchase souls. So if you want to actually buy, then like they've improved it. They're now rotating through more and more frequently, but it just takes forever. It takes literally months to save up this stuff. The gray ones are just fairly irrelevant. And then it's all about the red ones. And realistically, it's you can upgrade one of your 5-star champs to 6-star. And it's not even worth buying 5-star. It's not worth it. You just need to push up the 5 to 6-star, mostly for PvP, to actually stay relevant. And it takes 6 months or so per champion. Just like pick the best PvP fusion, like whatever. Save up. That's what I did. Get like Fabian, Armans, get them up to 6-star. Get the 5-star soul, get them up to 6-star. Do it every 6 months, twice a year, whatever, if you're lucky, and maxing stuff out. But yeah, I don't know. I think the whole soul economy definitely improved a bit with Grim Forest. Grim Forest improved a lot of the economies in the game, but it still feels pretty bad, and I think it's definitely a problem. Yeah, I think it's definitely a problem. I think that they should give you more access to essence to upgrade your champions. They should increase the power of the low, spread the power more towards the lower level of the blessing, so that every star feels more relevant instead of being quite weighted towards the 6 stars. Spread the speed from 6-star to 2 and 4-star as well, or something. I don't know. I feel like they need to do some other stuff to address that. I also think power creep in this game is extremely high right now. Been extremely high for a long time. Very long time. That's why Erbad, back in the day, part of why he quit, he was like, just insane. It's like a runaway train right now. But power creep is extremely high. I think Basim's a great example. He's a very good damage dealer. He's very good, but he's not insane. Does that make him even worth it? Is very good enough in 2026? And considering we're getting like new mythicals, the fusions have been very good, but I mean, you get guaranteed champions have been very good from these events, but they're pretty constant. And damage dealers in particular, getting power crept incredibly fast. Is it even worth it? Like by the time you get to build him up and book him and get a soul for him, that could take you a few months. He might be totally irrelevant by the time you actually get there. That's a pretty big concern with power creep as it is right now. Yeah, and it's like, is Basim a very good champion? Is he even worth getting? And then I think the final point I want to touch on is the lack of balancing in the game as well, which is that they just won't nerf stuff ever. This is not, I don't think this is fully a Plarium problem, to be honest. This is also something that comes from the player base. The player base, I don't know if it's a minority. I think it probably is a minority, but it's a very vocal minority, are extremely anti-balance in the game. They will not tolerate any talk of nerfs whatsoever. And basically what that means is we end up in a situation where instead of, we're getting champion buffs regularly, and that's great. But instead of having like really OP champions or relics or blessings or effects or whatever, instead of having stuff toned down, instead of like tuning knobs, like, okay, whatever. Nice, the Shadow Thief. Oh yeah, he's actually kind of OP, isn't he? In his alternate form. Okay, let's reduce it to 10%. Bonus stat for each enemy and ally. That's a pretty substantial nerf. Let's try it out. Oh, okay, maybe that nerf was too harsh. We'll increase it up to 12%. Let's try that. There's no room for any of this sort of balancing stuff. People will not tolerate any nerfs whatsoever, unfortunately. So yeah, it just means that when really OP stuff comes out, they're never going to nerf it. They're just going to have more power creep, right? To counter it, they just have to introduce something that's even more powerful in the future. And that's where we end up, where it's just, again, champions get out of date very quickly because, yeah, like the gap just, instead of, when a massive gap appears, instead of being like, okay, let's tone the gap down a little. I mean, we want to still keep a gap, right? But instead of toning it down and having it be more paced out, it's like, oh shit, it's a massive gap. Oh, make the gap bigger so that we can actually counter that really OP champion. It's just like it is a runaway train to balance a little bit. I did have the feeling last year that it was a runaway train, but it was like somehow still staying on the tracks. The tracks are feeling a little bit wobbly right now. And yeah, I feel the runaway train's a bit wobbly. And then I feel like when you get champions like the Assassins, who are all generally good, but not crazy for the most part. You know, like Edward, he's good, but he's not crazy. But you end up in a situation where it's like, champion just kind of feels rubbish because you know that, like, sure, the train has temporarily slowed down for these assassins, but it's about to turn a corner and go blisteringly fast again and fall off the tracks again. This is going to be power creep like crazy again. That's, again, a little bit of a problem I feel at the moment. So there you go. Let me know what you think about it. These are my main concerns. So, yeah, I think some smaller, easy gimmies, improving accessories, changing your relics, blessings, and masteries. I think those are relatively straightforward wins, to be honest. Then you've got much more complex problems, which is accessibility to key strategies. I gave Stone Skin as an example, and I say Mercurial is a similar example for me. Hydra, Chimera are also similar examples. Will they actually give us tools to deal with these challenges or not? Will they simply not really do it, or have them be extremely limited to void legendaries and mythical champions that you might never get, and you can never actually try any of these strategies at all, full stop. Blessings, I think that is still a big problem. And then power creep and balancing implementations, but implications. The balancing implications of the power creep being so high at the moment, or I guess the anti-nerf stance people have, and the power creep implications that the lack of balancing has, that because nerfs are unacceptable, power creep has to be so insane to make up for it. Yeah, I don't know, people like, don't nerf anything, just sell me more powerful stuff in the future. It's perhaps a fundamental, inescapable problem of the gacha game that's nothing to do with Plarium and perhaps even out of the hands of the player base. It's just how the player base is de facto because of the game genre, perhaps. But anyway, some of this stuff is fixable. Anyway, they've done a lot of good stuff. There's a lot of problem. Oh, the deck of fate costs as well. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, guys, let me know anything that you would add on. Either just stuff I missed entirely, stuff that you think I should have gone in more detail on, perhaps stuff I got wrong that actually isn't a problem. Let me know what you think. But yeah, that is broadly speaking the stuff I think is going on in Raid. Check out Ash's video as well. Again, it's a great video. I should give it a thumbs up. Thumbs up! Check his video out as well, get his take, and I will see you all next time. My video is much long, as always. Too long. I talk too much. That's my problem. Talk too much. See you next time. Goodbye.